This recording is from The Wife of Bath's Tale for World Literature, pages 48 to 52. And what we'll be reading is a portion. So it's by Geoffrey Chaucer, translated by Neville Coghill. The Wife of Bath, a bawdy and vivacious character, is one of the pilgrims the narrator of the prologue describes. Readers learn that she has had 5 husbands, all at the church door. In the complete prologue to her own humorous tale, which has been greatly abbreviated below, the quick-witted Wife of Bath recounts her 5 marriages, describes her husband's flaws, explains the problems she faced with each of them, and admits to the mistakes she made in her relationships. She establishes herself as an authority on marriage and using humor and allusions to ancient and medieval texts. She explores the theme of what men and women should do in a marriage. Her tale, like many others in the Canterbury Tales, is a vivid retelling of an older legend. It focuses on a knight who must go on a quest to discover what women really want. So we have the prologue, which remember is abbreviated. The partner started up, and thereupon, "Madam," he said, "by God and by St. John, that's noble preaching no one could surpass. I was about to take a wife. Alas! Am I to buy it on my flesh so dear? There'll be no marrying for me this year." "You wait," she said, "my story's not begun. You'll taste another brew before I've done. You'll find it doesn't taste as good as ale. And when I finish telling you my tale of tribulation, which if you look down means ordeal or suffering in the married life, in which I've been an expert as a wife, that is to say, myself have been the whip, the party causing the pain in a relationship. So please yourself whether you want to sip at that same cask of marriage I shall broach. Be cautious before making the approach, for I'll give instances in more than 10. And those who won't be warned by other men shall suffer their correction. So Ptolemy is said in this connection. You'll read his Almagest, you'll find it there. And if we look down, Ptolemy is an ancient mathematician, astronomer, and geographer who lived in Egypt. And an Almagest is a book, also known as Mathematical Composition, written by Ptolemy, that asserted that the Earth is the center of the universe, a belief held by medieval people. So she says, you'll find it there. "Madam, I put it to you as a prayer," the partner said. "Go on, as you began. Tell us your tale. Spare not for any man. Instruct us younger men in your technique." "Gladly," she said, "if you'll let me speak. But still I hope the company won't reprove me, though I should speak as fantasy may move me. And please don't be offended at my views. They're really only offered to amuse." So the tale begins. When good King Arthur ruled in ancient days, a king that every Briton loves to praise, there was a land brimful of fairy folk. The elf queen and her courtiers joined and broke their elfin dance on many a green mead. Or so was the opinion once, I read. Hundreds of years ago in days of yore, but no one now sees fairies anymore. For now the saintly charity and prayer of holy friars seem to have purged the air. They search the countryside through field and stream as thick as motes that speckle a sunbeam. And if you look down, a mote is a tiny particle of dust. Blessing the halls, the chambers, kitchens, bowers, cities and boroughs, castles, courts, and towers, thorps, barns, and stables. Now, a thorp is a small village down here. If you look at the bottom, they'll give you all kinds of definitions. In line 45, a thorp, as we see, is a small village. Barns and stables, houses and dairies, and that's the reason why there are no fairies. Wherever there was wont to walk an elf, today there walks the holy friar himself as evening falls or when the daylight springs, saying his matins and his holy things. So matins are like prayers. It's a French word for morning. Walking his limit round from town to town, women can now go safely up and down by every bush or under every tree. There is no other incubus but he. An incubus is an evil spirit that attacks sleeping women. So there is really no one else to hurt you, and he will do no more than take your virtue. So it now so happened, I begin to say, long, long ago in good King Arthur's day, there was a knight who was a lusty liver. One day, as he came riding down from the river, he saw a maiden walking all forlorn ahead of him, alone as she was born. And of that maiden, spite of all she said, by very force he took her maidenhead, or virginity. This act of violence made such a stir, which essentially he raped her, so much petitioning to the king for her, that he condemned the knight to lose his head by course of law. He was as good as dead. It seems that then the statutes took that view. But that the queen and other ladies too implored the king to exercise his grace so ceaselessly, he gave the queen the case and granted her his life. And she should choose whether to show him mercy or refuse. The queen returned him thanks with all her might, and then she sent a summons to the knight at her convenience and expressed her will. You stand, for such is the position still, in no way certain of your life, said she, yet you shall live if you can answer me. What is the thing that women most desire? And books have been written about this. It's still a question that's up in the air, 700 years later. Beware the axe and say as I require. If you can't answer in the moment, though, I'll concede you this. You are to go a 12 months and a day to seek and learn sufficient answer. Then you shall return. I shall take gages from you to extort surrender of your body to the court. Sad was the knight and sorrowfully sighed, but there, all other choices were denied. And in the end, he chose to go away and to return after a year and a day, like she said when she says 12 months, that's a year, armed with such an answer as there might be sent to him by God. He took his leave and went. He knocked at every house, searched every place, yes, anywhere that offered hope of grace. But could it be that what could it be that women wanted most? But all the same, he never touched a coast, country, or town in which there seemed to be any two people willing to agree. Some said that women wanted wealth and treasure. Honor, said some jollity and pleasure. If you look down, good times, which means, being jolly. Some gorgeous clothes, and others fun in bed. To be oft widowed and remarried, said others again. And some that what most mattered was that we should be cosseted and flattered, or given compliments. So if you look down, pleased, pampered, given things, right? That's very near the truth, it seems to me. A man can win us best with flattery, to dance attendance on us, make a fuss, ensnares us all, the best and worst of us. Some say the things we most desire are these: freedom to do exactly as we please, with no one to reprove our faults and lies, rather to have one call us good and wise. Truly, there's not a woman in 10 score who has had a fault, and someone rubs the sore, but she will kick, if what he says is true. You try it out, you'll find so too. However vicious we may be within, we like to be thought wise and void of sin. Others assert we women find it sweet when we're thought dependable, discreet, and secret, firm of purpose and controlled, never betraying things that we're told. But that's not worth the handle of a rake. Women conceal a thing for heaven's sake. Remember Midas? Will you hear the tale? Among some other things, now stale, and this is where we'll stop for today.